You're always going to have needs. And if you keep trying to avoid them, ignore them, suppress them, they're just going to become a screaming voice in the back of your head till they literally shut you off. Today, it's your birthday. Not sure what that means? Let us go ahead and introduce you to this powerful concept and our community. We are Helene and Christina, and our mission is to empower, teach, and remind women to celebrate themselves. Combined, we have over 36 years' experience as therapists in private practice. However, today we come to you not as your therapist, but rather two women in this life stage with you, your friends. Our podcast promises to talk about the hard or uncomfortable topics in a way to empower you, laugh along the way as part of healing, and find joy in life. What sets us apart? We leave you with gifts in each and every episode.
Now that we're friends, let's make this official. We would love to help start your day, so make sure you follow the show wherever you listen and sign up for a free newsletter at yourbirthdaypodcast.com to receive the episode in your inbox. Welcome back to the show, friends. And if you're new to us, we are thrilled you are here. You chose to press play on an episode that truly is all about you. Exploring your needs is not selfish. It is sacred. When we understand our needs, when we stop resenting, overfunctioning, and shifting who and what we believe in, we start living more honestly and we're connected, friends. So, for those of you who are new to the show, 10 years ago, I was doing exactly all that, all the stuff that we were talking about not to do. In fact, it's almost 10 years, I guess today, that I got my diagnosis, that I was diagnosed with triple-negative breast cancer. And I was doing it all areas of my life really hard. I was overdoing and overstretching myself on a repeat month after month. Here's the thing, friends, and I bet you may relate. I knew that I was exhausted. I was uncertain that I can keep up with the demands that I put on myself. Sound familiar? Christina and I get you. In fact, if you're new to us, listen to what she shared about a week ago on Instagram. She's right there with us. We're right there with you. So pull up your chairs.
Yes.
In fact, many women are experts at meeting everyone else's needs. So before we dive in, we're going to ask you to pause and ask yourself these two questions. And before we even say them out loud, I want to say thank you. Because more than anything, I think Christina and I, and again, if you're new to us, we took a short break because we needed these questions. So thank you.
Yeah, we did. And I think, as I shared in my quick Instagram post, I had to take a pause in life because my dad's health took a rapid decline and doing all. And, as I shared in the beginning of March, he passed away. But I was so drained that I kept getting sick. My body was trying to scream at me, like, literally slow the fuck down, Christina, just like your body did 10 years ago. And I just kept pushing until finally, like, it literally shut me off. I was stuck in bed. I couldn't function. I was exhausted. And so, really this episode came out of love from both Helene and I to our audience of realizing that, the whole reason we started It's Your Birthday and talked about messy middle was for this very reason. And so it's so important to us that women learn how to care for themselves.
So with that, before we keep going, those two questions are, when was the last time someone asked you what you needed? And again, friends, I would tell you from personal experience, people may not be asking, or at least in my situation, because they may not know that you want to be asked, right? When I look back, I did not tell really anyone except for my very close circle what was going on.
Hmm.
I was like, I've got it all taken care of. In fact, I think back to the day that, again, my story, I chose my form of treatment, which can be different for everyone. And I respect what everyone else's choice of decision and what they need. But I was so controlling in my behavior because I wanted to make sure everyone else was okay. I did not let my husband come with me when I went to check in to have my port put in. Instead, I'm like, go make sure the kids get to school. I don't want anything wrong with them. So no wonder why. And then when people did want to help me, I pushed them away. So if people are not asking, I also want you to take a moment to pause and say, do I let people know I'm human and that I do need help? So that
I
was the
was,
first question.
yeah.
Yeah,
And I was
jump
one of
in.
those first
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
to find out. And let me just say this, it wasn't because you told me. Helene and I had a mutual accountant who knew that we were good friends, and he let the cat out of the bag, so to speak. And me, being me, called you up immediately and said, what's going on? Tell me everything. How can I support you? And
Mhm.
you said, oh, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'll be fine. And I said, bullshit. And I forced my way into your life.
You did. And
I
other
like
people
was
did
like,
too.
wall coming down. Let me
Mhm.
help you. And
Yeah,
you trusted me. And that was like a huge growth moment in our friendship.
it was. Thank you for being ballsy and bossy and
And
full
bitchy
of.
and forcing myself into your life. Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. But
if
yeah.
you were somebody sitting on the outside watching a friend kind of going through their tough time in life and
Yeah.
you see them putting walls up, I'm here to challenge you and say, crash those suckers down because your
Right.
friend
Take
needs
the
you.
sledgehammer from Christina.
Yeah. And on
Yeah.
the flip side, as I walked through this just crazy, chaotic last few months,
Yeah.
you did it to me because my go to was just to go into myself, to just kind of shut down, to like try to do what I could do. And you were like, I'm here. And when I ignored you, you went
Yeah.
to my husband and you were like, Ethan, I'm sending you dinner. Where am I
Yeah.
sending it from?
Well, and I think back to when you were sick, and if you guys have been hanging out with us, you know I don't like flying, and it took everything for me to fly to Christina. But when she was getting really sick in December, and I'd like to think it came from like an older sister place, but I was saying to my husband, I'm like, I'm almost about to like book a flight and go get her to the hospital because I think like your family was out of town. And then
Mm-hmm.
you told me you did go to the ER. And I was like, good, because I was about to come up, which
I know you were.
would be really ballsy of me, but I was looking at doing that because
Yeah.
I was scared for you.
Yeah. No, and I remember I think I texted you from the
You were like,
ER.
wow, that would have been like really
I
brave.
know. I texted you from the ER and I was like, I'm in the hospital right now. They're pumping
Yeah.
me full of liquids, like all
Mhm.
of that.
Yeah.
But, so our challenge to you is one, if somebody asks you what you need, it's okay to say what you need. And, there's
Right.
been moments too where I've said, I don't know
Mhm.
because I genuinely don't know. And I remember like my friend Jess asked me like a year and a half ago when my dad first started getting sick. She's like, what do you need in this moment? He was staying with me. And I was like, I don't know. And
Right.
she literally just showed up, grabbed my kids, and said, your kids are coming to my house for the day. And I was like, oh, okay. Yep, that helps. That really helps. Like, I couldn't even think in
Right.
the moment what I needed, but she
Right.
just came and did it. And I
Mhm.
remember like when one of my best friends, her dad died, and her daughter was having a birthday party. Well, her dad wasn't quite, he hadn't passed yet, but like she was needing to fly to him. And her daughter
Right.
was having a birthday party, and she was like so overwhelmed. And I just looked at her and said, I'm flying up. I've got the birthday party. Like, don't worry about that. I will help your husband figure that out. You go be
Mhm.
with your dad. Like, that's where you need to be. And, we talk about that all the time. Like, sometimes you don't know and you just need somebody to tell you. And like,
Mhm.
that's what it was in that dinner. Like, you were like, can I give you food? And I was like, no, we got food in the fridge. Little did I know, like half the food in our fridge was like expired or crap or should not be eaten for whatever reason because I hadn't been
Right.
cleaning it out. And you just like called Ethan and said, "Where am I ordering food from?"
Mhm.
And I'm pretty certain you told him he could not ask me because he said to me, he goes, "Helene's getting us food. I'm not allowed to ask you where. These were the places I chose. Do you like any of
Mhm.
those?" And I
Yeah,
said,
he
"I
was
like
right
all of
on
them."
it.
Yeah. But he was like, "You would not let him put that mental burden on me." So it also, girl tribe, is if you're in a relationship with a male and you are doing 90% of the mental burden of the house or responsibility, however you want to term that today, setting those boundaries with those men of like, do not now put this on your partner.
Right.
Like it's setting those boundaries for your girl. Or, you know, that's our challenge to you. And I think, Helene, you also have a second question that I think is really, really powerful when we were talking about this.
Yeah. When was the last time you asked yourself what you needed?
Oof.
And I think when you say it right, it's like 7, 8 words. It sounds stupid simple. And yet, if you just heard that and there was something in your body like, or I don't know, or like, if I say never, like, are these two women going to judge me? Or like, I don't even know what it would sound like.
Right.
Here's the thing, it's allowed to feel wildly uncomfortable to explore your need. And like, we're going to talk a little bit about why to validate, normalize, and as we're dropping in some gifts along this way to then help you get to the other side of keep asking you what you need. Because as you notice, we haven't dropped an episode in several weeks. We
Mhm.
haven't really been present. And during that time, Christina and I allowed ourselves to ask about like, what do we need to do with doing this?
Yeah.
Like, we've never done this kind of things. And there were some things that we were doing that were hard or heavy or too much. And we allowed ourselves to ask what we needed. So keep that in
Mhm.
mind. We're right there with you on the other side of the table. All right. So let's get back to why is exploring your needs so hard?
This goes back to childhood for most women. I mean, we are taught to minimize ourselves, right? We are taught to not have needs. We are taught to care for everybody else first, right? I mean, from observing our mothers who put on these fabulous dinners or cared for all these people or balanced career and caring for children. I mean, we've been taught this. We have been taught. I will still remember a Mother's Day that my mom hosted the most fabulous brunch
Mhm.
for all the women in her world. And I
Wow.
still remember as a little girl thinking, who's going to celebrate my mom today?
Mhm.
She's celebrating everybody else. And that was my mother's heart. And that was what I was taught, right?
Right.
So we've been taught to not have needs, minimize ourselves, put everybody else before us.
Mhm.
It was interesting. I was talking with a friend on Sunday, and we have a mutual friend whose husband is a stay at home dad.
Mhm. Right.
And our friend's mom continually says to her, "Your husband needs to go get a job. Your husband needs to go get a job. When's your husband going to get a real job?" Because he manages properties and things like that. So he has a job. It's just not one that's 9 to 5
Traditional,
or
like he's
nine to
clocking in
seven
9
in the
to
office.
5.
Right.
Right.
And we both commented if roles were reversed, right?
Mhm.
If she was the one doing that, she would be praised for working and caring for the kids. But because
Right.
they have designed their family different, even her
Right.
mother is critiquing her,
Mhm.
who
Oof.
actually
That's
tends to be a liberal mom.
right.
So, again, like our friend loves her career, like loves her career. She is so passionate about it. And she is thrilled that she found a partner who wants to support her career
Right.
and created a job that he can care for the kids and work.
Right. And I think not, and when you are taught or you're shown to take care of outward, like we don't know to go inward. So when you're thinking about like needs, like if you're looking at like who's on your table, like if you're an outward looker, right? I'm
Mhm.
looking at everyone else's need, whether it's a beautiful table for brunch or like even something as silly as my daughter says. So like if we're talking on the phone, I'll be like, oh, it looks like it's going to be raining tomorrow. Or like, oh, like, you still fall into, at least I do, like those mom things, even though they're like young adults and they hopefully know. I'm like, oh yeah, like, bring your jacket. And she's like, Mom, like, do you check the weather every day of like Gainesville? And I'm like, I do. And then a week later, because she was like, oh, you're just a neurotic Jewish mom. And I'm like, look, I'm just going to own it. Like, fine. But about a week later, she was mentioning it, like, I guess in the common area. And like five other kids were like, yeah, my mom sends me to thing too. So I was like, yes, like, I'm not alone.
Right.
And it does go to show, like, if you're outward looking and other people in your life who you invited to like your table, like Christina talked about, it's easy to go outward, but to go inward and look inside of you,
Mhm.
what are your needs, can
Mm.
be very difficult and kind of a conflict to what either you've been doing or you've been shown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. And I think with that goes, that if you do take time for yourself, all of
Mm.
a sudden there's the judgment of you're selfish, you're high maintenance, you're too much. I mean, when I look at divorce and
Mhm.
I look at the instant judgment on the financial line of like personal self care. And if a woman's
Mm.
personal self care for a month, let me tell you, I hear it over and over again, is anything over $300 to $500, all of a sudden she's high maintenance.
Oof.
Never
Oof.
mind, never mind what the partner might be spending.
Right.
That's a high maintenance category. And I'm here to call bullshit on that.
The labeling, the judgment, the
Right.
pigeonholing of the person. Oh, I'm fired up about that one. Mm.
Right. It
Okay.
pisses me off. It
Yeah.
royally pisses me off because it's a
Right.
bunch of lies, and it's opportunity to suppress women again.
Right. Rather than celebrating that she is investing in whatever that looks like,
Right.
whether she's going to get a massage, she's playing a round of golf, whether she's getting a meal service for herself, whatever that looks like,
Or getting
rather
her hair
than,
done.
yeah, like that woman is investing in her feeling good or taking or getting a service that helps her to feel calm. Yes. Mm.
And I really get pissed
Right.
when it's other women judging it because I'm
Mhm.
like, we do not suppress one another, friend.
Right.
We advocate for one another.
Say that again. That's a beautiful gift.
We do
Please.
not suppress one another. We advocate for each other.
Yeah.
And that's what we are really all about. We have an episode coming up in the future that's all about being a woman's woman.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, how do you celebrate and encourage other women to be their best versus seeing it as a threat?
Right.
And caring for your needs should not be an internal debate with yourself. If you're worthy, if you're good enough, if you deserve this, if you've taken too much time for yourself.
Mhm.
Let's call bullshit on all of that.
Right.
What are your needs? What are your needs? Let's figure them out, sit with yourself, and figure out, do you need physical? Like, I needed rest in the worst of ways, right? Like, my body was like, shut off, enough, right? And
Yes.
so, I mean, I became best friends with my silk pillowcase. It it was beautiful. And my very soft blanket and my sauna blanket. All of those became my friend from December through March and still now
Right.
because I've created it as part of my daily routine.
Ooh, love that.
What are your emotional needs?
Yeah.
Are you somebody who needs affection? Are you somebody who needs space and quiet time? Are you someone that just needs somebody to say, you know what? that really fucking sucks.
Mm, yeah.
And I remember, when you had finally opened up to me about the cancer, like, I think all I could say to you is, I'm like, I am so sorry, and this fucking sucks. Because there were no other words. It
Yeah.
wasn't like, oh, I know for sure you're going to be cured, or
Right.
I know that you're going to get through this, or, I didn't know the future. I couldn't predict it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just simple.
And I think sometimes when you want to extend like an emotional need to someone and you don't know what to say, friends, coming from two therapists, I want to gift you that it's sometimes the most powerful thing that you could say is, I really want to say something, but I really don't know what to say. Is there anything that could help? Because the truth is that when someone often has a need or needs something, most of the time, what's put them in that space was completely out of their control or their say. So
Yeah.
when you invite them to have a voice to let you know what they need, that is huge. It's empowering. They have a voice and a space of identifying their need, and you've created safety and reassurance that I'm here to listen. So it's okay to say, I don't know what to say, and I want to say something.
Or, yeah, or saying, I don't know what to say, and I'm here for you.
Yeah,
I'd
absolutely.
rather somebody say, I don't know what to say,
Mhm.
than say a stereotypical comment that isn't helpful.
Right.
Like, one of the things that
Mhm.
has driven me nuts with my dad passing away, he's 89, right? Or he was 89. So,
Mhm.
like, obviously lived a full life.
Right.
When somebody says to me it was his time,
Ugh,
I'm like,
right.
what the fuck? Like,
Right. It's very dismissive.
it is. It
It is. Yeah.
is. Or when my mom was dying, like, she hadn't taken care of her health. And I had a friend say to me, it's almost like passive suicide. And I was like, what?
Mm,
It was a colleague. Yeah. I was like,
mm.
whoa, no, thank
Yeah.
you. And if you don't know what to say, again,
Yeah.
just saying, I don't even know what to say. This has to be hard.
Right. And I was going to say, if you have never, if you're in the audience listening and you want something in addition to some of the things that we're helping you with, a really powerful little short video. It's like less than 3 minutes long. It's Brene Brown. If you go on YouTube, Brene Brown, empathy versus sympathy. That
Mm.
is a very powerful thing to pull up and look at. That talks a lot about like what we're talking about right now. That just popped in my head. So
No, that's great. So I think
yeah.
going back to knowing your relational needs, knowing your mental needs, and
Mhm.
again, we don't expect you to know these. We are asking you to sit with yourself
Yeah.
and go through these categories, your physical needs, your emotional needs, your relational needs, your mental needs, and just sit with yourself. Maybe it's in a journal. Maybe it's, just having quiet time in your car. Maybe it's while you are doing yoga or a
Mhm.
meditation or something like that. But when we talk about mental needs, we're saying, do you need quiet? Do you need stimulation? Do you need clarity? Like, what do you need in this moment that you just really need to sit with yourself? What does that look like for you?
And when
And
we talk about, yeah,
go ahead.
well, the spiritual needs, we made
Mm,
what some things that we're trying to, something that we're going to sprinkle in as invitations to explore is, are you at a space in life that you need to explore what the meaning of really
hmm
what that even is? And again, you may have known at another season of your life what that was, and it can look very different from where you're at now. It might mean that your different needs for connection could be very different,
hmm
who it's with, how it feels,
hmm
how it's extended, or how you want to extend it to others. And then also, like, what are some grounding things that you need? So
Oh,
I
we
think
talk a
the
lot about
biggest
that.
gift that we want to leave you with is that you and I, friends, and all of you listening, we don't necessarily outgrow our needs. We may need to get better at expressing them because when we start listening and identifying what we need, then we have the opportunity to give that now knowing inside of us a voice. So it's really
Right.
like what Christina keeps going back to saying. We're inviting you to pause, get in connection. Is there anything that I'm needing now?
Mhm.
And if so, how do I vocalize it and give it a voice? Kind of like a little bit like that balloon. If you blow on it a little bigger and bigger and you give it some more air, you give it some more fuel, what might it say?
Mhm. Mhm. I think this is really powerful too.
Talk to me. But
We never outgrow our needs, right? And
no.
you can suppress them, you can put them on a shelf, you can ignore them, but your needs will always be there. And our needs
Mm,
can shift, right? Like we could have more spiritual needs right now, and then another day have more physical needs. Like, and they evolve. I mean, your needs as a child are different than your needs as a young adult, as an older adult, all of that. They
yeah.
evolve, but our needs are still there. Our intrinsic, what we need to feel filled up, to feel safe, to feel secure, to feel grounded are always going to be there. You're always going to have needs. And if you keep trying to avoid them, ignore them, suppress them,
Mhm.
they're just going to become a screaming voice in the back of your head till they literally shut you off, which is what happened to me. Like, my needs were like, are you going to fucking care for me?
Mm,
And I had to listen. And our
right.
challenge to you is not to get to that point. Listen
Right.
before you get shut down.
Right. Do that. That's part of the mission of what Christy and I want is that we've had aha moments and we keep having more. And we just want to sprinkle in like some of the things that we've had to learn from so that hopefully it may align with a little bit what you're feeling. And then you're like, oh, okay, they did this way. Maybe it didn't work so well. Am I heading towards that same path and I may do something different? The other thing I want to add is that I think if you ignore your needs or you don't allow yourself to explore them, they could sit you down or they can get you to scream the fuck up, right? We don't want that resentment,
Right.
that feeling alone, that anger to come roaring out. Because here's the thing, friends, when it eventually comes out and it is like days, months, decades of this hurt, feeling alone, not being cared for, not being seen, the people who hear it are usually like, whoa, where's this coming from? And it's
Hmm.
too much for them to handle. And then again, they can show up how you want. So we don't want you to store them so much that they either sit your ass down, like they did both to Christina and myself, but they also don't build up so much that it's almost like that can of explosion. And then you're still not understood.
Right. And I think, I mean, we see the cost. It comes out in burnout, passive aggressiveness,
Yeah.
body symptoms, loss of identity. Those are all the things that Helene's describing to you. And we're here to challenge you. They don't disappear. So, our challenge to you is that when you learn to explore your needs, when you sit with yourself and figure out what you need, how you need it, you shift into empowerment, which is
Mhm.
profound. I mean, I really think for women, this is the ultimate stage of growth when you are empowered and you can use your voice and describe your needs and
Yeah.
describe your wants. Like that to me is a woman who has worked through difficult shit and is healing.
And I think it's the greatest gift to yourself. And I think another thing to just I want to let you know is that when you do it, it's a, it's incredibly vulnerable,
Mhm.
right? For you to either say it to yourself or say it outward, how you're feeling and what you need, it's vulnerable. And vulnerability is something that we're all scared of. We might shy away from, not everyone, but a lot of us. But I will tell you, not saying to yourself, how am I feeling? And then letting that come out, it's going to build up. Saying what you're needing can really be like a less than a 1 minute conversation versus the buildup of days, months, and years of fatigue, loss of self, not knowing who you are. It's doing it hard, and the hard doesn't stay long.
Yes. And, one of the things that I am learning
Mm,
in this storm that I have just gone through, this messy
yeah.
middle, is empowerment, using my voice, saying directly what I need, how I need it, what it looks like for me. And I love watching other women do it. I find myself like observing women in how they do it because what I see is women who naturally do it and it becomes a part of their everyday and their functioning are modeling clarity, trusting themselves, healthy boundaries,
Yes.
like more honest intimacy in like a really beautiful way, less resentment towards others. And then they're also emotionally regulated, right? Like they're just a calm, confident, joyful presence that you're just attracted to,
Mhm.
if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
It makes beautiful sense. It's like that's the person I would love to spend some time with.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Like,
When you speak about her, I'm like, bring her on. Like, let's hang out. Like, yeah.
mhm. And I think one, it allows other people to like actually love you in the way that you feel loved. And
Mm.
it allows you to authentically love others, right? Because you're empowered and confident in who you are. You know what you need. And so you're getting those needs filled. And then you find yourself genuinely wanting to love on others versus, oh, it's another thing on my to do list.
Yeah. This was a big one.
Yeah. Let's talk about how our audience can explore their needs.
Mm. There's a whole bunch of different ways. I think it goes back to, well, the first one I think of, it's kind of like where we started in our introduction and when we first started.
Mm-hmm.
It goes back to checking in with your body,
Mm-hmm.
which I think you and I, in some of the storytelling we've shared, that we would ask ourselves, maybe we did ask some of ourselves. So, check in with your body, you can ask yourself daily a new commitment, just taking a moment. Am I tired? Am I overstimulated? Heck, check in. Am I hungry? Am I craving space or touch? So check in with how you're feeling with just a
Mm-hmm.
couple of simple questions. In fact, maybe write those down or listen to this again and just ask yourself a little bit of those. Because I know I would say, looking back 10 years ago, was I tired? I was fucking exhausted and
Yes.
I knew it. But what did I do? I just kept putting more and more on and kept, I said, oh, I'll just go to Orange Theory more and more and more. I'll just work through the tired. Was I hungry? I didn't even let myself be hungry.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't ask myself these questions, but now when I look back 10 years ago, all of those would have been yes. So start with asking yourself some of those questions.
Mm-hmm.
What are some others?
I think I love talking about the resentment clue. So if you find
Ooh,
yourself resenting somebody else because they're getting to enjoy something you aren't, or resenting your spouse because they don't have the burdens you have, you really need to sit with yourself and say, what is that a resentment about? And what
right.
is my need that is not being met? And how can I meet it? It may not be an extravagant vacation like your girlfriend, but
Mm-hmm.
you're needing some self care there. So, are you needing to just unplug for a couple hours with a good book, sitting in the sun? Are you needing, to go buy yourself something cute? Maybe you can't buy a designer, but you could go buy yourself something cute at Target. You know, what is your need in that moment? I think another thing is I love the statement, if I'm honest, because we're so quick to cover up our needs and pretend like we don't need anything. And
Right.
this exercise, exploring your needs, is about being honest with yourself. Quit lying to yourself. So
Right.
we have three sentences we're challenging you to complete. If I'm honest, I need, fill in the blank. If I'm honest, I don't have the capacity for,
Mm.
fill in the blank. If I'm honest, I wish somebody would.
Ugh. That's a big one.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
Yeah.
those are some powerful ones. And then another thing we're going to offer you is some low risk expression. So, what we mean by this is that you could practice expressing a small need clearly, right? We are all about recognizing and putting into motion small things to build up new memory in your body that you've got this, that you're doing this. We're not saying you have to go big or home. We're all about starting and creating some new things within your life. So maybe there might be some things like this. I need 10 minutes to decompress. Would
Mm-hmm.
you love 3 hours? Possibly. But if you look at life and you only have, or do I really need 10 minutes? Ask yourself, I need 10 minutes to decompress, and then share that. So when you come home, unless your partner's home and the kids are running around and the dog's running around and everyone's so excited, if you start noticing that that jacks you up, you might have a little family meeting and say, what I recognize, guys, is I'm so excited to see you after 8 hours. But what I also know is I need 10 minutes to go in the room, take a shower, change my clothes, get out of work clothes, and show up in a partner or family. So I need 10 minutes to decompress. You might say to someone, I'd love some reassurance right now. And we're not saying necessarily just within your family. You might even say that to like your boss.
Or a
You
colleague.
are a colleague. You asked me to participate in this project. I'm giving it my best, but I'm also not knowing exactly how it's going. I would love some reassurance right now.
Yeah.
You might say to your partner, can you handle bedtime tonight?
Mm-hmm.
So again, these are like micro, smaller, not macro. So maybe those can feel more doable, more achievable, and we're saying hell yes to you.
Yeah. And I think knowing that repetition is normal. It takes the average
Yeah.
person 40 times of hearing something to learn it. So you are learning how to express your needs, and those around you are learning how to accept your needs. And that might be an adjustment for them, and that's okay. So if they get negative about it, that's on them. That's not on you. You keep expressing your needs. Your needs matter. And finally, we really want to encourage you to reflect. What need have you been minimizing? Where are you expecting someone to read your mind and clearly they're going to fail?
Mm-hmm.
What would honoring one of your needs this week look like for you? And finally, if you wanted to do some deeper exploration, what story do I care about having needs and need to rewrite that story?
Love that one.
Friends, we hope you walk away hearing that needs are not selfish. Expressing them is about self respect, modeling for others, and honoring your needs is courageous. We truly believe that none of us were ever meant to disappear inside one life. Exploring your needs is how you come back home to yourself. If you need help with that, considering gifting yourself a retreat, and we will show you how with the entire way through one of our courses. They are 20% off with IBD20 Love and are available at our website, yourbirthdaypodcast.com. Come hang out with us on social, and until next week, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.